Hello and welcome. Have you ever looked at flight prices and wondered why flying from a massive, super busy airport can actually cost you so much more than a smaller one just down the road? You'd think it'd be the other way around, right? Well, it turns out there's a hidden multi-billion euro premium being tacked onto your ticket, and today we're going to find out exactly where that money is going.
I mean, we've all been there. You're trying to book a getaway, and you see it clear as day. The flight from the giant international hub is way more expensive than one from a less crowded airport nearby. Your first thought is probably, wow, that big airport must be charging a fortune. But the real story is so much more surprising.
Okay, so check this out. To really see what's happening, some researchers tracked the average ticket prices to Madrid from two different airports. First, from the incredibly congested London Heathrow, and second, from the much less busy Brussels airport. And the results are pretty wild. Over time, the fares from Brussels actually went down, but from Heathrow, for the exact same trip to Madrid, they went up. It's a clear-as-day price premium just for flying out of the busier airport.
So that really begs the question, right? If you're paying extra, where is that money going? Who is cashing in? The obvious suspect seems to be the airport itself. I mean, they must be charging airlines sky-high fees for those crowded runways. But as we're about to find out, that's not really the whole story.
And here's our first big surprise. You'd totally think the airports are the ones raking in the dough, but in many cases, they literally can't. A lot of major European airports are regulated, which means the fees they can charge airlines are capped, often at levels that are artificially low. So wait a minute, if the airports aren't the ones collecting this premium, but we're still paying it, who is?
Well, the money is going to something economists have a name for: scarcity rents. The easiest way to think about it is like surge pricing on a rideshare app. When an airport is totally full, those takeoff and landing slots become super valuable. They're scarce. Now, even if the airport has to charge the airline a low regulated price for that slot, the airline knows that thousands of passengers are all fighting for a very limited number of seats. So what do? They charge what the market will bear, a price based not on their costs, but on how badly people want that scarce seat. That extra profit, that is the scarcity rent.
And hey, this isn't some new, radical idea. An economist named David Starkey pointed this out way back in 1998. He said that when you have a crowded market with artificially low costs, it just makes perfect business sense for airlines to charge as much as they possibly can. I mean, why would they pass those low airport costs on to you and me when the profit is just sitting there for the taking?
Okay, so we found our culprit: scarcity rents that are being pocketed by the airlines. But what does this actually mean for you, for your wallet? Honestly, the numbers here are absolutely staggering.
Get this, every single year, travelers across Europe are paying an extra 2.1 billion euros. Just let that number sink in. That isn't money going to better planes or to airport staff or even to improve the airport. Nope, it is the grand total of the scarcity premium paid by us, the passengers, and it goes straight into the airline's bottom line. Let's bring that huge number down to a personal level. For every single round-trip flight you take from a busy European airport, you're paying an average scarcity premium of about €5.65. Now, that might not sound like a ton for just one ticket, right? But multiply that by hundreds of millions of passengers, and you see exactly how we get to that €2.1 billion figure so fast.
And here's the really worrying part. The problem is only getting worse. If we don't do anything about it, if airport capacity stays choked, forecasts show that by 2035, that annual premium is going to nearly triple to a jaw-dropping €6.3 billion a year. And it's not just about paying more. It's about whether you'll even be able to get a flight at all. Projections show that by 2035, Europe's airports simply won't have room to handle 12% of the total demand. We're talking about almost 2 million flights a year that just can't happen because there's nowhere for them to take off or land. So the obvious solution is just screaming at us, right? Build more runways, expand the terminals, add more capacity. But this is where the story takes a really fascinating and frankly kind of frustrating twist. Turns out the very companies profiting from this scarcity have a powerful, hidden reason to keep things exactly the way they are.
So how exactly does an airline play its cards at these jam-packed airports? Well, it's not just about raising prices on every ticket. It's about carefully choosing which tickets to sell. They start giving priority to high-paying, business, and first-class passengers. They focus on those super profitable long-haul flights, which ends up pushing out shorter, less lucrative routes. And the final result? It becomes a really tough place for low-cost airlines to even compete. And you can see this clear as day in the data. At Europe's most crowded airports, about 16% of all the seats being sold are for premium classes, business or first. But at the less busy airports, that number plummets to just 6%. The lack of space literally incentivizes airlines to fill their planes with the passengers willing to pay the most, which crowds out the rest of us.
And this, right here, is the central paradox of this whole mess. The big, established airlines, the ones who hold most of the slots at these hubs, are the ones benefiting the most from the congestion because they're collecting all those scarcity rents. So you have to ask yourself, why on earth would they support a solution that would kill their golden goose?
Their resistance really comes down to three simple things. First, they want to protect those huge profits. More capacity means more competition, especially from those pesky low-cost carriers, and that would make their scarcity rents disappear. Second, they want to avoid costs. Airport expansions cost a fortune, and that usually means higher fees for them. And third, because of how the rules work, they can't even get that many of the new slots anyway, so why would they want to pay for an expansion they don't fully benefit from?
So we're stuck in this classic gridlock. We've got a problem that costs consumers billions of euros and a system where the key players are actually motivated to keep the problem going. So, what is the path forward? How do we fix this?
Well, the solutions are all about breaking that gridlock. The most obvious one, of course, is to actually expand the airports. But that's not enough on its own. The regulations have to be changed to remove those disincentives for airlines. There's one really clever idea on the table. Let the airports capture some of that scarcity rent, but with one crucial condition. That money has to be used to fund new infrastructure. But really, the very first step is just making policymakers aware that this whole dynamic is even happening. And that really leaves us with this final thought. The next time you're booking a flight and you see that sky-high price from a big, busy airport, just ask yourself, are you paying for the actual cost of that flight? Or are you paying the hidden price of a full airport? A premium driven not by cost, but by simple, profitable scarcity.